Warning: what is about to follow is very nerdy, and may contain spoilers concerning Doctor Who. Never mind, definitely will contain spoilers, so if you don't care about Doctor Who, or don't want it to be spoiled for you, or, just don't like me, don't watch. Alright, so what is there to say about Steven Moffat? I don't like him. There, I'm done. No, guess I'm not. 4 words isn't exactly a rant, is it? Even if one is a contraction. Now, before I really tear in, oh boy am I going to tear in, I want to say this. What I'm tearing into here is not Steven Moffat as a person, his single episodes from past seasons, or his other works. Just things I've noticed in this new season that has developed with him as head writer. It's also not a rant on the new Doctor. I love Matt Smith, and I feel he's perfectly right following David Tennant. Though Tennant will always be my Doctor. A few issues with the new narrative. And remember, the word narrative applies to fan fiction as well, so it's not saying all that much. 3 points I'm really talking about here. Plot points, River Song, and new villains. Plot points. It's funny, that sounds redundant even though it isn't. The show was under Davies. There were always plot points leading up to the series finale. In Season 1, we had Bad Wolf. In Season 2, we had Torchwood. Season 3, we had Saxon and Not Being Alone. These points were scattered throughout the season, and when they showed up, they were subtle. To quote Matt Smith, they were always just in the corner of your eye. Not, however, shoved in your face, or possible to observe, and they all culminated in that aha moment in the finale. It was fantastic. Moffat points tend to be one of 2 extremes. Overdone, or half-baked. Some plot points sound like 10-ton mallets hitting the ground when they happen. Others don't really explain what they are meant to. An example of the latter is the end of the first season underneath Moffat, when the Doctor comes back at the end of the series strictly because Amy remembers him. This is supposed to be possible because, as we've seen earlier in the season, people that Amy remembers come back, the main example being Rory. Except, when you actually think about it, this isn't true at all. In fact, the person who came back was not Rory. Not in that timeline. It was a plastic being that, while it felt and thought and looked exactly like Rory and was a good soul, that does not make him Rory. He is a separate physical being. He was created. This is the entire foundation for the Doctor coming back, is because Amy remembers him. And yet, once you think on that actual plot point that keeps it together, it doesn't work. Other type, the 10-ton mallet. A perfect example is when River Song talks about how she killed the most remarkable man she ever knew. Does anyone not get who this is? Moves us on to our next point. River Song. And sadly, while I like the idea behind her character, the way she is being used is sloppy at best. Because of the interconnected plot lines between her and the Doctor, the relationship always ends being proved by its existence. This is a lot of begging the question. The whole reason they end up having a relationship is because they have a relationship. When they actually interact on screen, their relationship is rather weak at best. She needs less screen time, because the more we see of her, the less I'm buying this relationship between her and the Doctor. It would be better off if the next time we saw her was when he meets her meeting him for the first time. Last point I want to make. The villains. Moffat has a great history of creating villains that are unique, with their danger being more in the abstract than the physical. You have Weeping Angel, Ashta Narada, The Silence. all of whom were good in single episodes. However, Time of Angels proves that the more exposure such creatures get, the weaker their appearance becomes. This, coupled with the fact that Moffat has a tendency to overblow his creatures into being new big bads, if purely vocally and not in actuality, makes them just weak. It ends up sounding like, if you've ever read a fan fiction, and someone's created a fan character and they really want you to believe that they're as good as they think they are, how they overblow the text to make it seem that way, that's what it ends up sounding like. See, despite all this, I liked Moffat when he wrote singles. And you know what? When he still writes episodes in that style, I like him then, too. But when he's given an overall plot structure, it comes across as weak. And I enjoy the episodes that are not written by him so much more. Next week, World of Warcraft. Unless someone suggests something better.